Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic day. Today's upload is going to be an episode on the potential for a significant winter storm that will be occurring across the Midwest and into the eastern part of the country. Also, I will be talking about this potential snowy pattern that will be occurring into the southern US and the eastern US. There could be several snowstorms that are going to be potentially even bigger than this one that's going to be occurring in the next couple of days. So we'll all dive into that. If you'd like to support this channel, you could consider subscribing. If you'd like to support this channel even to a greater extent and support it more directly, you could do so by becoming my Patreon. All you got to do is click the link in the description box below of this video, and it will lead you to. You could sign up, and it's completely optional, but it's a great thing you could do if you are willing to do so. So thank you for your support and your continued support. So right now we are looking at the weather map. We are anticipating a fairly significant storm. It's a hybrid of a clipper that's going to be coming down from British Columbia, and this storm will have much more energy and much more vigor to it than a regular fucking Alberta Clipper. A regular Alberta Clipper is something that is lacking moisture, doesn't have much intensity, has strong winds, and brings cold air behind it. So this system will bring cold air behind it, will have fairly strong winds, but it will be much more stronger, and it will not be light snow. It will be heavy snow in some areas, up to 12 inches of snow. So let's go through this one by one. So for today, Saturday, as I'm recording this video, we are expected to see a tiny disturbance. It's just shortwave in the atmosphere. It will be delivering several inches, at most 3 inches, to central Illinois and central Indiana. But then you can see it dissipates, not really leading up to much in the northeast either, maybe a couple of inches at most. But that is a precursor to this major winter storm that is, like I said, a hybrid of a Alberta Clipper, since it's coming from Alberta, and it has many of the characteristics that an Alberta Clipper would have, but again, just way stronger and way more availability to moisture, which will make it have produce more snowfall for the areas that will get impacted by it. We're looking at this diving down, and the interesting thing is, guys, this system will be diving down right through the Bear Clinic zone, and the Bear Clinic zone is where the two air masses meet. So here's the warm air mass. You can see the reds. That is indicated by above average temperatures. Here's the 540 line and the high pressure that brought in the cold air for the first shot of cold air, and this is what will bring in the second shot of cold air. And right in between that, the Clipper is sliding through, and it's a little bit on a more northern track than previously forecasted. So cities like Chicago, northern Illinois may see a little bit less snow, but the high resolution models have been indicating a more southern track to the system, a more southern trend. And I'm not buying this 100% that the heaviest snowfall, which according to the National Weather Service will be in southern Wisconsin. I think this could definitely still shift a little bit down to the south. We go through in time, and we could see, sorry about that, that this is 7 o'clock in the morning Monday. There could be a little bit of mixing in northern Illinois. I think the GFS is way overdoing this. The air is so cold, so frigid, that the warm air will just have a trouble going into the cold air and trying to push it out. It won't do it so easily. And if anything, there will be a little bit of freezing rain or sleet across northern Illinois, central Illinois. I really doubt that there will be rain. Southern Illinois, central Missouri, possibly some rain because it's further to the south. The cold air is less plentiful, but up to the north, it seems more likely of a all snow event. Passes through, and afterwards, we just get a chunk of polar vortex. Look at that bitter cold temperatures. Sorry about that. 540 line, which is typically the rain snow line, which is the 32 degree, which is always at 32 degrees. Reaching down into northern Florida, so the Gulf Coast states, all the way down to the beaches, probably seeing 32 degrees or below. This is a very, very strong cold air mass. If we were to look at this, it's going to be temperatures to 30 to 40 degrees below average. So if your average is 20 degrees, you'll be maybe seeing, -10 to -20 in some locations. I will not be diving into the cold air, discussing it. I'll be making a video on that either later today, most likely tomorrow about that though. I wanted to make a separate video because there's just so much to talk about that cold air mess. I want to focus on the storm system that's happening right now or will be happening in the Midwest. So let's go to total snowfall, 10-1. This is assuming a 10-1 ratio, which will be much higher. The 10-1 ratio will be around maybe 20-1 due to the very cold temperatures. 10-1 ratio, or the ratios of snow, depend on the temperature that the snow is falling in, and temperatures will be much colder than a 10-1 ratio, which would be around 32 degrees. So right now, the GFS is showing around half a foot to potentially 8-9 inches. The axis of the heaviest snow in central to southern Wisconsin and maybe northern Illinois and Michigan. Again, I would not be surprised if this shifts a little bit further to the south. The European model has it way farther to the south, which makes it an outlier, but the European model is one of the strongest, greatest models out there, and it has a lot of convincing power for the National Weather Service, which is why the National Weather Service is not completely putting this up to the north, because the European has the axis of heaviest snow in northern central Illinois. So this is assuming a 10-1 ratio. If you wanted to get a more exact ratio, we'd go to the Kuchera snowfall amounts on Pivotal Weather, but again, I don't have time to do that right now. I wanted to make this video relatively short, and there's a lot to cover, and I don't have Pivotal Weather right now pulled up. So let's just assume that anything that's greater, multiply your number that you see right here by, like, if you have 6 inches or 7 inches, multiply that by 1.5. So let's zoom in on this, the north central United States, and multiply your snowfall amounts right here by 1.5. So if you have 5 inches, multiply that by 1.5 and you'll get your amount. That is because it'll be most likely a 15-1 ratio instead of a 10-1 ratio. Let's go to the Canadian model and see what it has in store. Canadian model typically does a really good job with these clippers because it comes from Canada and it has earlier access to it. All the raw model data, like the balloons and the satellites that encompass the data. And we can see that it's a little bit further to the south, and it has a little bit more vigor with it, potentially seeing almost 10 to 11 inches right there in central southern Wisconsin. Again, multiply this by 1.5 because this also is assuming a 10-1 ratio. Let's go to the FV3 GFS, which I think the FV3 GFS doesn't necessarily have the best handle on this. You can see it has the axis of heaviest snow way further to the north, and at this point it seems unlikely. That's an outlier in its sense that it's way further to the north than most, and the European is way further to the south. So we can't really go off the FV3 GFS or the European alone since they are the outliers. So if we were to look at the NAM models, which are more higher resolution models, they are more accurate because they are focused on the next 84 hours to 60 hours instead of long range 10 days to 15 days. So they have more accuracy when it comes to short-term forecasts. We look at, hopefully we can zoom in on this because certain models don't have the option of zooming in on certain regions. That's the FV3 GFS. The NAM does. You can see northern Illinois 2 inches, 4 inches. This is, again, assuming a 10-1 ratio. So multiply this by 1.5 or even 2 in some locations, depending on the strength of this. I would say 7 to 8 inches, a little bit further south with this. Again, guys, the higher resolution models are just coming in. If we were to go to the HER model, it's just coming in right now, and if we were to look at its track, it's a little bit further to the south, and the HER model is a fantastic model, guys. It is one of the best models, and the National Weather Service based their last-minute forecast off the high resolution. So the RPM, Rapid Precision Model, the RAP, and the HRR, which is a HER model. Those three models are very accurate, and that's what they usually show similar events. If we were to look at the rain/frozen amounts, we see a rain/frozen precip. We see that the storm is tracking a little bit further to the south than what the NAM is showing in the GFS, and the FV3 GFS is more like the European model. So I think I would not be surprised if this snowfall gets shifted further to the south. The National Weather Service, I'll show you them right now, has winter storm watches. I was on my area right here, but it has winter storm watches all the way into the northern tier of Illinois and most of Wisconsin. It would be ridiculous if they did not shift the winter storm watches down into central Illinois, and that is because, let's go to what they have to say, okay? So right now, they're showing, this is the Chicago area, so let's just skip all this cold again. I'll be making a different video on that. Right now, they're showing the best chance of 6 inches of plus is closer to the Wisconsin state line, the more snow you'll get. But I wouldn't be surprised if this shifts again down to the south. This tells you the record temperatures, and these are the percentages. So probability of 6 inches or more of snow on Sunday night through Monday, 40 inches for O'Hare, Chicago 40, get 39, so basically 40, Midway 32. This yesterday was in the 70s. So because the FV3 GFS and the GFS have zoned away from this, they have decreased these amounts. But again, the GFS, like many people know, it's really a not so good model. It's a moderate model. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good model. The European is by far better, and the European and the high resolution models are in agreement more now. So I have a feeling, guys, that this will be more located into it will be more of a event for northern Illinois and far southern Wisconsin rather than central Wisconsin. Again, this could still change though. Right now, these are the current forecast amount for northern Illinois. This was already shifted further down to the south since the morning. This is at 12 p.m. The earlier amounts were showing completely different. This yellow color by the state line. So they have already shifted it to the south, and I already know what they're basically going to do, guys. I've tracked the weather for so long, for so many years. I know these type of systems very well. I know them from bottom inside out. And with these type of systems, it usually tracks a little bit further to the south than expected. And you can see that Janesville, Kenosha, Rockford, maybe all in the 8 to 12, while most of the Chicago metro in the 6 to 8. Let's go to a different part of Wisconsin. I want to check how long. 10 minutes is a pretty long video. I wanted to basically keep this under 12 minutes, so we'll need to see about that. Let's go to central Wisconsin, and let's see what they have to say about this. I would say I wouldn't agree with the snowfall amounts they have for these areas. Look at that, 8 to 12. That's a little bit too much. Even some of the models, if you multiply them by 1.5 or 2, don't give you that much, and the high resolution models can agree with that. So I'm not too sure about these amounts, 8 to 12 in Sheboygan, West Bend, I think that's Port Washington, and Fond du Lac. I would not be too sure about that, guys, but definitely 7 to 11 is a definite possibility. So let's quickly go to the European model since I've been talking about it for quite a bit of time. Let's go to total new snowfall accumulations. The new model run is just coming in right now, but I'll just show you the old one since it hasn't come in yet. Again, look at the European model. It's a little bit more further to the south with the southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois in the heaviest of the snow. Central Wisconsin, again, look at this. The European model, Sheboygan around their area, maybe 4 inches. Whether the national, compared to the National Weather Service, which has almost a foot of snow for that area. So Chicago, I would say around 6 to 10 inches. Southern Wisconsin, maybe a tad bit more. And that basically wraps it up for today's video. I'm sorry if it was really quick. There was a lot of information to cover. So if you want to, rewind this, play it again, I apologize. This was just a really quick video I wanted to do and pack a lot of information into it. So consider becoming a Patreon. Consider subscribing. I love you all, guys. Thank you so much for the support. And I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.